What's going on, guys? In this video, I talk about mindset, pricing, how to price yourself effectively, and how to get out of a technician mindset and more into a business owner mindset. And if you don't know me, my name is Eric Deere, and I've coached over 412 video business owners one-to-one in our program here at Master Filmmaker. And I'm making these videos so you can get value from them for free and you can scale your video business as well. So without further ado, let's dive into the coaching call.
Honestly, I was kind of just more here, just as like kind of listening in and seeing if there were any any little bits of knowledge that I could glean here and there from other people's coaching. But
For sure.
I did have one question that I was thinking about asking after you kind of talked a little bit at the beginning of the call when I jumped on. You were just talking about pricing. So I'm currently in the process of, well, I'm not thinking about. I'm on the cusp of redoing our you guys pricing, because we've done our pricing with you guys, but that's very disconnected from like the rest of our pricing that we're kind of doing for other clients and so on and so forth. And in the past, historically, the way I've done it, which worked in that capacity, but just because, and the reason we're thinking about redoing pricing is just I think we've grown a lot in both our capacities and our technical abilities in the video realm, and I just don't think that our current rates are necessarily serving that.
Yeah.
In the past, the way that we've done it is I've just essentially done an audit of Fiverr, or not Fiverr, Upwork. So essentially went around and found what other video professionals are charging on Upwork, and kind of just based off of where we fit, what they offer and how we do and those kinds of things. That's really how I've based my pricing. So essentially I was like, okay, these guys are offering similar to what we're doing. These guys are kind of in the same realm as we are. These guys do this, but it's they're way far above where we're at with this stuff. And, and then just kind of based our prices very sort of subjectively off of that, which, like I said, it worked because it got us to where we are now, but I'm kind of and my wife and I were talking about it, and she's kind of a person who's a little bit more of the business side of things too. And she's like, I don't know if this is really a good way of doing our pricing, because in some ways, she was saying that, and I don't know Upwork, I don't know these platforms, they kind of tend to price down on those platforms because they're kind of trying to, it's like a bidding thing. It's like a bidding war kind of deal.
Yeah.
So anyways, all that to be said, my question was if you have any suggestions of, instead of doing that or in addition or whatever, how to go about repricing services that's both fair and also is, profitable and so on.
For sure. Yeah. And I have a lot of thoughts on that. So way, how do you have it priced right now, and who is it for? Is it just for any company that wants to hire you for video? Is it for
so I mean, really, it had very little thought to it. So there's not that, and that's honestly one of the other reasons why we're repricing, is because we've done a lot more thinking about who we're for, what we're doing, and what the value is that we offer. So we actually have a lot more value that's built into our services as of last year than when we did the pricing audit 2 years ago and actually set our prices. Right before then, it was literally just okay, well, anybody who wants us to hire us to do video production is, we'll serve.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's where it's priced. That's where it's priced now. It's just a very generic.
And is it more when you say, so, because there's a couple factors that are going to influence pricing. Number one, is it more of a gig worker type pricing where you're a freelancer to another production company or a freelancer to a large corporation? That's going to be more of you have to have a market rate, and you're kind of capped there. That's the first problem. So you're capped if you do that. Number two, where you have more flexibility, which is what we try to do here, is when you're a business offering a service to another business, and you have a unique mechanism or a unique thing. Because when you have that unique thing, you're able to charge a lot higher above market value because it's a unique thing, right? It's a mechanism.
Right.
Whereas when you're just day labor and you're just a technician, you cap out at whatever your area market's at, which is why you see people are like, oh, you can't charge that in California. You can't charge that in Omaha. Or you can't charge that here. It's because they're capped at a certain rate, because all they're doing is they're like a DP that's getting hired for the day, or they're like an editor. Where you have more flexibility is when you become a business owner with a solution with specific expertise, where you can actually charge a lot higher above market value because you have the unique mechanism. Take Reed, for example. He He's done, he's had 10 million views on documentaries. That's his specialty. Now, am I going to, if Reed charges me 75K for a brand video, and then I have another guy who's going to charge me 10K, the number one thing I'm going to look at is, well, Reed has 10 million views on his documentaries. He has an expertise. That's his unique, he has some sort of unique mechanism that allows him to charge that much money, right? Whereas it's, instead of looking and comparing at other people, I can't compare Reed to anybody because no one else has the same expertise or unique mechanism as him.
Right. Okay.
So
it almost would be contingent on the industry that
it does. That's why
focusing
niching is
on.
important, or either niching in the market or the method. Because, like, let's say you serve businesses in general, that's cool. But, like, let's say you're like Reed and maybe you have like a specific documentary, style or method. You call it like docu-style videos that helps any business skyrocket their growth and make more money. You see how, like, when you're a business, you're providing an outcome. When you're a freelancer, you are providing just simply a commoditized service. And it takes you from commodity it takes you from commodity to more of category of one, where like if I have this unique thing you've never heard of before, how are you gonna compare me to other prices? You can't, because you've never heard of it.
Right.
That's kind of the psychological part of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that totally makes sense. Yeah, no, and that makes sense. So because, and the issue, one of the issues is like that currently, like we've been pretty much a freelancer for the companies who we are, and we're niching down in one, right? We're niching down in MSP, managed service provider. It's a little bit convoluted. This is the hard part about this, is because like we're coming from a place of really being, my wife always used to call me like the digital handyman, essentially, like where it's like if they needed whatever that digital thing was, we just kind of did it, like, whether that was video or, design or web design or web backend stuff. It was like, I could do kind of all that a little bit, but now we're niching down in, first of all, MSPs, which is one of our main clients, right? So that's easier, right? Because we're kind of doing it that, but then we have these other clients who are either starting relationships with, or we don't, or we have a relationship with them, which is still kind of in that digital handyman, and we're kind of trying to move into this new world of where we're a little bit less of a digital handyman and we're more specialized in
you almost want to think of yourself as, hey, I am a business that provides a unique solution. I'm not a freelancer that does a job. Identity switch.
And that's hard because in a lot of ways, these guys still see us as, and in some ways we still function as a freelancer who does a job, So I'm like, okay, and this is just sort of the struggle that I'm in, honestly.
It's an identity shift, man. And they won't see you that way until you see yourself that way. Right. And so that's really, it comes from the root. But it's like, I see these people complain about, like, if they're a freelancer getting paid net 60. Like, if I'm going to sign on, let's say I'm going to sign, let's say these MSPs have, like, they need a software, or they go to like a SaaS company, they need to buy a software. Are they going to tell that software company they're going to pay them net 60? No, because the software company is like, no, we dictate our pricing, not you.
Right.
That's where, if you can get yourself out of that freelancer mindset and into a business owner mindset, you dictate the pricing schedule. Because like I used to do the freelancer thing too. It's like net 30, net 60, whatever, right? But it's like when you get into becoming a business that provides a solution, it's more a partnership than it is like they're way above you and you're down here.
Right.
Totally. It's like, I'm a business providing a solution and you need us. Here's the terms, here's what we do, and here's how it works.
Right. And we're kind of in the process of working them in that direction, right? So like we're starting to develop, some processes and contracts and those kinds of things, as opposed to it being kind of, because they really trust us and they like us. But, it up until this point, a big part of that has been, like I said, because we've been that digital handyman for them, and just kind of like, last minute jobs, like anything that they needed, it was like, well, we can depend on those guys. And we're kind of like, well, we don't really want to be doing last minute, throw together jobs forever.
Yeah, it's so that. And then it's also, it's just not pricing it based on like the hours that you work. It's pricing it based on the outcome or the deliverable that you're getting. So it's like package one is like video, 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 video. Package two is like video, 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 video. Instead of like what freelancers do is they invoice you for like, here's how much time I spent, here's my day rate, here's the pre-production, here's the so it's switching from that into the outcome. So it's outcome based pricing versus you know, just the specific line item based pricing. It's kind of like it's same thing with like a SaaS company. Like when you buy a software, do they send you an invoice? It's like, here's how much it is for our hosting software. Here's how much it is for our backend dev team. Here's how much like you wouldn't do that. You just it's $29 a month, or it's like $5,000 a month, or whatever the software is.
Whatever it is.
One price, all inclusive. So that's where it's just that kind of shift. And instead of looking at what everyone else is doing, it's figuring out like, what could a business realistically make from this? Like if I'm serving business, it's harder when you serve a ton of people because they don't all sell the same kind of thing. But like Reed, for example, like this neurosurgeon could sell $50,000 surgeries, or could be like $100K. So if my video, if all it did was bring you one more customer, would it be worth it?
Right.
And that's more focused on the outcome, you know. So
and that's how we can focus in the MSP world, because they do have that. I mean, they have 60, 70, 100 plus K a year deals with these companies, where it's like, if there is that one difference that case study or that video makes, it's like, that is that, okay, well now we can charge pricing. The other companies, they're definitely more in like the sort of lower level. One company's a coaching company that, you know, they do have $25,000 sales packages, you know. So I mean, there is some, you know, they're getting a little higher up there. We're working right now. There's actually a church here in Bend that is kind of we're working with them about a possible retainer. And so but I have no experience in the church realm whatsoever, other than what we've done for them already. So I'm kind of like, I don't know what's up.
Well, we can work with you on that, obviously, and help you figure that out. But I mean, what is the point of the package? Like, what's the outcome they want from the content?
I think they're just wanting that, and that's kind of what we're going to be stepping into, is like doing some discovery with them. Like we did some really basic stuff for them that they loved. Like we did social stuff, some social reels for them that they loved. And so we're coming into it very strong. Like they, you know, really liked what we've done. I think they're really just wanting to use stuff on social, at their events and at their services, on their website. They're really just wanting to have someone who they go to as a relationship to produce content that they love. I don't know what their particular outcomes and like success metrics are exactly. Like that's going to be part of our onboarding that we do starting next, like here in about a week and a half or so. But they've been happy so far, so I assume that we've been delivering what they want.
There's kind of three outcomes, and they'll fall into one of these, but it's health, wealth, or relationships. For them, it's probably more relationship based. I want to bring more people in. I want to build relationships. I want to grow my community, and people find a lot of value in that, and they're willing to pay for that. But those are the three. So it's when you're in these sales calls, it's figuring out like, do they want health, wealth, or relationships? Right.
I mean, I can guarantee you it's relationships.
Yeah,
you know, they want the relationships. I mean,
so then you find out what that is. You sell them on that during the call. Hey, this is going to help you bring in more people, empower your community, build you up, and like blah blah blah, whatever it may be. And then that's where you sell them on the outcome. Now it's much more lucrative, and those are great. Those retainers are great with those types of people. It's just you can charge usually a lot more money when you are based in a wealth outcome. So that's why just as a 30,000 foot view, look at like trying to help people who obviously, you know, are going to make more money from the content that you're creating, and then that's where you can clearly bring in more. So
and honestly, like, well, that's why we're going with the MSPs. Is the MSPs are definitely
if you can find somebody like that, that's rich clients are better than poor clients, man. I'm telling you, it's easier. They're easier to work with. They have more money. They get results faster. It's just it's so interesting, and it's so obvious too. But it's like, you know, a company that's doing $100 million a year, this is nothing for them. When it's someone who's really, you know, struggling, you know, a $40,000 package could be make or break. You know, it's just
totally. And you don't want to be in there doing, like, you don't want people relying on you as like
we're
their
not a
sole
life
lifeline.
raft. This is not 100%.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's just kind of some psychological stuff around it. Hopefully it makes sense.
Yeah. So really, it's kind of continuing to make that shift, trying to make the shift away from being the freelancer into being the service provider, or the service
Yeah.
provider, the business, and then charging accordingly to the outcomes that you're providing, not necessarily for your hours worked.
No, because there's like, if I come in and create a piece of video, if I create a piece of content that you run as an ad, for example, that makes you $1 million, but it only took me 2 hours to make it, should I be billing you based on the hours or based on the money that I made you?
The money that, I mean, you should theoretically be billing me on the money that you made. You should be billing me however you agreed to in the beginning, but it'd be better to bill off of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like they're paying you for your experience and your knowledge and your unique mechanism, quote unquote. Like they're paying for that mechanism. They're paying for your experience. They're paying for the business's experience, the business's mechanism. They're paying for the solution. They're not, it doesn't matter how many hours it took me to put it together. So that's why I wouldn't even talk about it. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So just kind of trying to continue to, that's your kind of advice, is just trying to continue to make that mental shift and
what
move
are
away
the key, yeah. So like, what are the key videos that are going to help them hit the outcomes that they want? Let's talk about creating those videos for them to help them get to the outcome they said they wanted. That's it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm actually sitting down tomorrow to start conceptualizing all these new retainers and all these new ideas, and because it's kind of interesting, all of my clients have come to a point where things are shifting and we're kind of revisiting contracts and that kind of stuff, which I think is good. I'm trying to do my best to incorporate sort of like mindsets and those kinds of shifts that we're
and then on a more tangible level, 80% gross profit on your packages is what you want to shoot for. So after labor being the 20%, you want to shoot for 80% gross minimum, because when you start to, yes, exactly. So like, I know your eyes are getting big. You're like, oh,
that's just mind blowing to me, you know.
Well, because think about it, when you have cost per acquisition, if you run ads might take up 10 to 15% on top of that. You might have a salesperson that you pay 10% commission to close the deal for you, right? But to fulfill on it should take 20% of the contract. And if you can be at 80%, you give yourself a ton of room to scale. Because as you scale, things get less efficient. You have to hire more people. People are not as efficient as you when you hire them. So you have to keep in mind like operational drag when you have people who are working for you, and you like your margin starts to shrink as you grow anyways. And that's very normal. But starting at 80% gross profit, like if I buy a video from you, it's $10,000. It should only cost you $2,000 to make that video. I'm just using simple numbers.
For your time, right? Essentially, if you bill out your time, you should be
not even time. Just like if I was going to hire, so like all the jobs you do in the content, like pretend you had to hire somebody for that, make a list of everything you'd pay them for, pretend like you can't fulfill on it at all, and then build out how much that costs. It should not be more than 20% of the total value.
Okay. So essentially calculate out if I was paying someone else to do it, and then you're
not allowed, like this is a fun exercise. Like you're not allowed to work on it. So pretend they just bought it from you. You're not allowed. Your hands are tied. You can't do anything. I have to hire an editor, a shooter, maybe an account manager to communicate with them. And the reason I do this is because like in the beginning, you're going to do those things, but at scale, you can't. You're not like, take this program, for example, as like an easy example. Like we've had 400 people go through this program. I can't fulfill on that. Like that's not for just me. I have to have a full team. So I have to pay my team, obviously. I have to figure out how much each person makes. So then at scale, I'm prepping you for that. So then in the beginning, you're going to have a lot more money. You're like, yeah, this is great. You're going to, take the money and put in your bank account. But that's like your rainy day fund for as you start to grow and you have to start paying people to do jobs, like more people than what you're already paying.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
80%.
That definitely makes sense.
Yeah. I always err on the safe side. If you can get to 75, that's okay too. But really you want to shoot for 80%. Because you're going to have costs outside of just the fulfillment. It's going to be marketing, it's going to be sales, and that doesn't factor into the 80 from there.
Right. I think that's definitely an area we've struggled, is because, we have enough to live on, enough to sort of fill on the thing. But like when those extra ancillary costs, there's just not a lot. It's
interesting too, man. It's like when I've seen this in my own life, in my clients' lives, in my team members' life, when they start making a lot of money too, you humans fundamentally won't make more money once they have enough to live on. Like there has to be a bigger reason why. So like, you know, most people don't need more than 20K a month profit. Like you got 20K a month, you're good. You have to find a reason to push further than that. And usually it's like the team members and whatnot. But like just because you have enough to live on does not mean you should not charge the price that you deserve to charge.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's really what it comes down to at the end of the day is it doesn't matter if that's enough for you to live on. Like if it's providing immense value to your clients, which it is, you should charge accordingly. But that's also where having a unique mechanism is going to allow you to charge those higher prices where you have 80% gross profit.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry to just
Sounds good.
I threw a bunch at you there, but
no, it's all good. It's just honestly like sometimes it's kind of like I feel like it's like turning like the Titanic. You know, it's like it's like you're trying to like you're going along. Like in some ways, I wish that I had built this like at the beginning. You know, as opposed to being
should have found us a couple years ago, man. No,
I know.
You're good.
It's like
it's normal, but it's little turns at a time, right? So as you have these clients come up and start to reevaluate, work with us. Let's work on some updating pricing. I would just map out a cost of like how much is the project, and then what are your actual expenses on it, and then see where your margins are right now. And then it's just as simple as increasing the price and then reducing your cost as much as you can to get to that 80-20.
Okay.
And then we can start referring that to clients. And yes, some of them are not going to want to move forward, but like you don't want to be busy and broke. Not that you're broke or not that anyone's broke, but it's like you don't want to have a ton of clients where they're not paying you enough, because then you're just like you end up hating them, because it's like you end up resenting them because you're like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. You know?
Yeah.
It's okay to let some of them go because you'll make more profit in the long run. So
okay.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think my first step is to kind of just revisit everything tomorrow. I kind of I have it on my to-do list to kind of just look in and just kind
one step at a time, revisit everything. Let's map out the costs and see where your margins are from there.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Thanks, Eric. Cool. Appreciate it, man.
You got it, man. Absolutely. Let me know if you need anything else.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. Anything else I can help with, guys?
So that conversation kind of reminded me of something I've been thinking about for a while. It's probably premature at this point, but yeah. So I have this client that I'm working with. I basically just do edits for them. They're a nonprofit.
Okay.
And everything they do is in Africa as far as like all their filming, and they have people out there that film stuff. They have a hard drive of footage that I have access to, and they're like, hey, we want to make a video about this, and they send over the script. I edit it. I'm working on a project now, probably not going to be finished probably not till May, because we got to get an animator and all that stuff. But my goal is, after this project, I want to pitch them and try to get them on some sort of like larger package, larger retainer. I've been working with them since like the summer of last year. I've done a couple videos for them at this point. So I'd love to get like your idea on how to kind of approach that conversation. And I'll give you a little bit of background, because when I work with them, I feel like where I would fit in is like I would just be like the connecting glue, because they're kind of all over the place. They'll have like these ideas for the videos, and then they'll like send me the script and like the footage, and like, we're ready to go. But then like they don't have the VO, and then I find out, oh, they don't have a VO artist. So I'm like, all right, I got you. I'll just go through my network. I'll get them a VO artist. I recommended a VO artist for them. I recommended animated for them. I was like, all right, well, let me just do all this in-house, where it's like, I'll give you X amount of videos per year, and I'll be responsible for, everything from start to finish. So like, you guys work on the script. They have a script writer that I actually work with to like work on the edits. So I would just keep them on. They would write the scripts, they approve the script, and then I would facilitate the VO artists, animators if we need it, editors, and all that stuff for all the videos for the year. So I guess what would be the best way to kind of, because like, again, I'm in the same situation where like I'm basically a freelancer for them.
Yep.
And it's like I'm signing their contract, but like I want to flip the script, and it's like, all right, now you're signing my contract. This is the price. This is what we're doing. How do I kind of put myself in that position, after I deliver this last project?
I mean, exactly what you just said. It flips as soon as you say it does, right? So you can change who you decide to be. It sounds so woo woo as I'm saying this, but like you can. I should have some motivational music playing behind me or something. But it's like you can change who you are to them the minute you say you do. So you could say, hey, we're moving into a new era of our business here. We're putting together comprehensive packages for our clients where we do everything start to finish as our company. Is that something that you guys might? Yeah,
gotcha.
cool. It's just, it really just kind of comes down to how you conduct yourself in the meeting too. Because it's like, it's kind of like if you let them take status frame on the call and tell you what to do, then they're going to look at you as a freelancer.
Right.
You take status frame on the call, then they're going to look up to you, right? And it's like, it's very interesting the more we talk about it, but it's like, you have a freelancer, you usually, and there's nothing wrong with this, but usually companies look down to a freelancer like an employee. Whereas when they're a business, they're at least looking at the same level or they're looking up to them. So even these little micro things we talk about within like status framing in the sales call is the same thing you can do here, where like they need to see you at a higher level than you are right now. And that's why like freelancers kind of get the shaft a lot of times, because they just look at them as a freelancer. Like, I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm looking down on you. Whereas when you can be above them, at least at the same level or above, that's when things start to change a little bit. But you could just say, hey, we're moving into a new era. We're working more with, you could just say like, we're working more with clients on a retainer basis to help them with XYZ as a comprehensive solution, which is going to help you benefit, whatever the main points are, which it sounds like they have a lot of pain points to where this could really help them.
All right. Yeah, that's smart. I mean, that sounds like an excellent email to be sending over.
I would honestly just say it on a call. I try to avoid just say, hey, I have some updates for you. Would love to touch base. Let me know when you and insert other leadership team that's involved in decisions has some time.
Okay.
And then I would do it on a call and say, hey, I want to let you know that we're moving into this. You're just putting your stake in the ground. You're saying this is what we do.
All right, cool.
Respect it, so don't overthink it either. You are who you say you are the minute you say you are that person. It's kind of like you are successful as soon as you decide you are. I think a lot of us put these like weird, I do it myself, but it's like we put these weird revenue, it's like, oh, when I hit $1 million, I'm gonna be successful, man. And then you get there, I'll tell you from experience, you push it again. Oh, when I hit $100 million, I'm gonna be successful, man. And it's like, you are successful, you are a business owner, you are the person you say you are the minute you say you are. No one can decide that for you. That's your decision. Cool. Anything else?
That hits. That hits.
I'm telling you, man.
That's a hard one. That hits, though.
I know. I'm telling you. You guys got me in my mindset guru mood over here, doing all my stuff. No, but it really is. It's a mindset thing, man. Like, I think a lot of people just get caught up on past things and like, oh, I can't be that person yet. So you could be that person immediately. You just have to decide. And then it goes back to the old thing we've been talking about today, but it's like, you will charge and you will get paid as much as you think you deserve to charge and get paid. Because people look to you on what they should pay you. So if you don't charge more, it's simply because you think you don't deserve to charge more, but you do. Within reason. You can't charge like, $1 million for a minute or something crazy, but like within reason.
That was going to be my new rate. That was going to be $1 million.
Should, dude.